Now on KRQE News 13 this morning, a father's fight with his daughter's school district.
He was screaming to the bus. She was sitting behind the dresser driver like, please stop, that's my dad, that's my dad.
What this father says caused him to be dragged by a school bus and what the driver says actually happened. Plus, inspiring change statewide, how a UNM program for new moms is becoming a model for other universities in New Mexico. And new 911 calls released, what they reveal about a deadly shooting in Northeast Albuquerque. Just ahead. Good morning, 6 o'clock here on KRQE News 13 this morning. Nice to have you here. I'm Adam Atchison.
And I'm Kristen Curry. Today is Tuesday, April 5th.
Not a good day for weather?
No.
I don't take that as a good thing.
Yeah, unfortunately, the winds are coming back today. I know.
I feel like we just got past them.
Exactly. And there is nothing worse than wind, in my opinion. I think it's the most horrible thing to forecast, and nobody likes it, you know? Temperatures, I can deal with this. 34 degrees in Taos. We have upper 40s in Albuquerque with more of the 40s and 50s out of our southern New Mexico. So really not too bad to start our day. When we compare that to yesterday, we're actually a couple degrees warmer here in the metro, 10 degrees warmer out in Grants. I would say for the most part, everybody, warmer to start today. We'll take that. We actually will continue that trend into this afternoon as we're climbing into the upper 60s by noontime, topping out near 77 today. Yesterday's high temp out at the Sunport was about 75. So a few degrees warmer this afternoon, but unfortunately we're going to be looking at a lot more wind today. Those gusty westerly winds coming back about 20 to 30 miles per hour in most areas out over the northern 2/3 of the state. Certainly not going to help high fire danger. And when it comes to the extended forecast, we'll see lighter winds tomorrow. A little bit of a cool off, but it's later on into the week that we're going to be talking rain and snow. And this personally, I think, is going to be the main highlight in the next 4 to 5 days. So I'll break down today's winds. I'll also take a look at what we have headed our way for Friday coming up here in about 15 minutes.
All right, Kristen, thank you. As you wake up today, police continue looking into the motive behind a deadly shooting at a restaurant in Albuquerque. And we're also hearing the 911 calls from that day. Police say more than a dozen people called 911 Friday afternoon after a gunman walked inside House of Pho restaurant on San Mateo near Montgomery and shot 3 people, killing 2 of them.
I ran out, someone ran in there and started shooting everyone.
Okay, did you get a description of him?
God, get over here. Please, God, get over here, please.
Okay. I'm trying to assist one of the people who have been shot. He is unresponsive.
Police say 58-year-old Dung Nguyen wounded his brother Hung Nguyen and killed his nephews Anfa and Jerry Nguyen after opening fire inside the family's restaurant. Police tracked down the shooter driving a few miles away, but they say that he shot and killed himself after pulling over. To hear more of the 911 calls, go to the KRQE News app. As of this morning, there are no arrests in a suspicious death in Albuquerque. On Sunday, police say they were called out after people living in an apartment near Jefferson, near Alameda, say they found a body. They told police they had found the person dead in their home. That person has not been identified, and it's unclear if the apartment resident knew them. The investigation continues today. Time is 6:03. Things are back to normal at City Hall this morning after a disruption during last night's meeting.
So I'm going to go ahead and recess the meeting. So we're in recess.
This woman wanted to make a point about the American flag. She was kicked out. Moments before that, a longtime city council protester, Silvio Delangela, hung an American flag upside down in the chambers. Security took it down, but Delangela would not leave until councilors called a break. They got back to business about 40 minutes later. The city council will also consider a proposal to put a hold on raises for top officials within APD until the department meets court-ordered DOJ reforms. Councilor Diane Gibson is behind the proposal, saying the city should stop giving APD command staff raises until the department is compliant with the deadline requirements of the DOJ-APD settlement agreement. The independent monitor, Dr. James Ginger, says the city's progress has been delayed because APD leaders are slow to make policy changes. What started out as controversy has led to big changes at the University of New Mexico and is now inspiring other universities in the state to do the same. News 13's Sarah Yingling tells us how UNM is helping mothers across the state.
Times have changed at the University of New Mexico from days when women had to use public restrooms to pump breast milk for their babies. Now there are 21 lactation stations on campus, a new lactation policy in place, and a breastfeeding support group.
if it wasn't for them, I couldn't even imagine breastfeeding, or even breastfeeding or pumping in the restrooms.
Melanie Maestas isn't alone. Women on UNM's campus says having these lactation stations isn't just a huge relief, it's allowing them to continue their education without leaving campus.
They really are encouraging just by having these facilities available for women getting a degree.
The New Mexico Breastfeeding Task Force is so impressed with UNM's model, they want to use it as an example for other higher ed facilities throughout the state.
When moms are, going back to work or going back to school, there's this huge disparity. And by UNM as our flagship university making this policy, it's really going to affect, I don't know how many women, hundreds, maybe thousands of women and families.
The Breastfeeding Task Force says this can help from a business standpoint as well, helping universities and even businesses retain employees and, in this case, students. Back to you.
All right, thank you, Sarah. Central New Mexico University and New Mexico State have also taken notice. Both have added lactation stations to their campuses. The Breastfeeding Task Force hopes this inspires other institutions throughout the region as well. Fire officials in San Juan County are asking for your help this morning to figure out who started a string of brush fires over the weekend. As of yesterday, fire officials were still cleaning up the remains of 4 fires reported near Shiprock over the weekend. Volunteer crews responded to the first one around 1 on Sunday afternoon. Around 150 acres were burned. Anybody with information about the fires is asked to contact the San Juan County Sheriff. Happening today, federal investigators are expected to interview surviving members of an Amtrak construction crew following Sunday's deadly train derailment outside Philadelphia. Authorities say Amtrak train 89 was going 106 miles per hour when it slammed into a backhoe on the tracks, killing 2 Amtrak workers. Amtrak says it is working with the NTSB now to identify issues that led up to that crash. Parents in Boston are calling for a bus driver to be fired this morning after he was caught on camera dragging a dad through the street. The man's daughter says she saw the entire incident.
He was screaming to the bus. She was sitting behind the bus driver like, please stop, that's my dad, that's my dad.
The dad said moments before this he was trying to get the bus driver to open the door so he could get his daughter. He says the driver refused, and that's when he says he stood in front of the bus and the driver accelerated, so he held onto the rearview mirror hoping not to be run over. The driver, though, counters that the dad was punching the glass door, so he started driving because he didn't think it was safe for the kids to see. He is on administrative leave while the school investigates. A New York dad is furious this morning after video surfaced showing a man mistreating his autistic son. The video shows a paraprofessional punching the 11-year-old boy he's charged with taking care of. This incident happened in a school cafeteria back in 2014. The boy's father says the incident left his son with a blue welt and he had to go to the hospital. In the video, a woman can be seen picking the boy up after this alleged punch. She says she didn't see anything besides a commotion. The boy's family is suing this morning. It's not clear if that professional is still working at the school today. Happening now on KRQE News 13 this morning, a burglar hits a small shop over the weekend. Who the business owner suspects is behind that theft coming up. Plus a global paper trail, what newly discovered banking records could reveal about some of the world's biggest leaders today. And filing suit, what one group says the city did not do before approving the controversial Albuquerque Rapid Transit project and how the city is responding today. Good morning, everybody. Thanks for starting your day with KRQE News 13 this morning. I'm Adam Atchison.
And I'm Kristen Curry. Today is Tuesday, April 5th. Certainly a Tuesday. I'm feeling it.
It does feel a little bit like that. We're facing the wind again today, too.
Yeah, which certainly is not going to help my case here. So let's get started with a look at the forecast. Not exactly perfect when it comes to what we have in store this afternoon, but at least we'll get in some sunshine and warmer temps. A little bit of high cloud cover here and there, but as far as the morning commute goes, you're fine. No need to worry about rain or snow out there. No fog to be concerned about. 49 actually this morning. We are warmer than where we were yesterday, and those winds, nothing right now, only 3 miles per hour, but they will start to crank up by the time we get into the later part of this morning and then really crank over the afternoon hours. Temperatures across the state, I would say most of us are in the 40s and 50s over central and southern portions. You'll find more of the 20s and 30s up there in southern Colorado in the higher terrain up to the north, but a day planner puts us in the 60s as early as noontime. We'll get into the 70s this afternoon. So it's another day of sunglasses, sunscreen, tank tops, but Well, unfortunately, the wind is going to be a huge factor in today's forecast. Likely to see the windiest day of the next 7 today. So I'll break down everything you need to know about today's winds and fire danger coming up here in about 15 minutes.
All right, Kristen, thank you. It's set to begin this summer construction on one of the busiest and most historic roads in the metro. We're talking about the controversial Albuquerque Rapid Transit line approved for Central Avenue. But plans may change if a group of Albuquerque locals get their way. News 13's Catherine Mazzone is here with more. Catherine.
Good morning, Adam. Several residents and business owners in the area want a judge to halt art. They say the city disregarded an important law that would have protected the $119 million Albuquerque Rapid Transit system from transforming a legendary piece of the city, Route 66. The group filed a lawsuit yesterday alleging the project was given the go-ahead illegally. It claims the mayor's office and the feds ignored the National Historic Preservation Act. That's because the project will affect almost 50 historic landmarks along the old Route 66, places like the Monte Vista Fire Station. Plaintiffs also say the city is downplaying the toll the project will take on traffic during and after construction. They worry it will shift commuters to nearby streets like Lead and Coal. According to the suit, those who filed it claim the Federal Transit Administration and the city pushed the project onto locals, but the city is still supporting it.
We are dedicated to defending what our team has told us has been rigor, accountability, dotting I's, crossing T's.
Longtime complaints about the project point to the elimination of many left turn lanes and fewer lanes for cars. That's because of the dedicated bus lane art would create. Proponents say the project will provide much needed public transportation options. Back to you.
All right, Catherine, thanks. No word on when the judge could rule. Developing this morning, the family of a man who died after 2 APD officers used a stun gun on him will be allowed to sue those officers. That was video from March 2011 when officers David Baca and Andrew Jaramillo were on a domestic violence call in the North Valley. They found the suspect, Jerry Perea, riding a bike nearby, and as they tried to get him to the ground, Perea resisted and attacked them with a cross. That's when police tased him. He later died. The appeals court ruled that the officers were not immune from the way that they used the stun gun on Perea. A wrongful death lawsuit filed by Perea's family says he was hit with a stun gun 10 times. The city had argued the officers were justified in using the stun gun. An autopsy later revealed Perea had heart disease and methamphetamine in his system. Time is 6:34. A former state senator accused of using his job for personal gain is released this morning after pleading not guilty. Phil Griego is facing 9 criminal charges, including fraud and bribery. Griego is accused of using his job as a state senator to help push through a real estate deal in 2014 where he made $50,000. Using an elected job for that kind of personal financial gain is illegal. The San Miguel County Democrat resigned from the state Senate as the scandal surfaced. Griego was released on his own recognizance. If convicted, he faces more than 15 years in prison. Happening this morning, the Justice Department says it's reviewing documents on a massive tax evasion leak to see if any crimes were committed in our country. The so-called Panama Papers are 5 million files on 214,000 offshore companies. The files come from a Panamanian law firm, and they were obtained by a German newspaper. Among the documents, the names of 12 current or former leaders, as well as 128 other politicians, all of them accused of hiding money in offshore shell companies to avoid paying taxes or dealing with sanctions. Among those accused, Vladimir Putin. British Prime Minister David Cameron is also facing questions about his father's offshore investments. Primary voters head to the polls in Wisconsin today to decide who should be their party's presidential nominee. The latest CBS News Battleground Tracker poll has Ted Cruz 6 points ahead of GOP frontrunner Donald Trump, but both candidates are calling for John Kasich to drop out of the race. Democrat Hillary Clinton all but conceded Wisconsin to Bernie Sanders on Monday, but the two candidates remain locked in a virtual tie right now. New this morning, New Mexico State University will continue looking for ways to cut its budget. Regents voted not to increase tuition for next school year yesterday. That means they're going to have to cut the budget by $10.7 million. University leaders are blaming the budget issues on less help from the state and a decline in student enrollment. Those two sources together make up about half of the operating budget for the school. For now, regents say they'll consider other options, including cutting admin salaries. Regents did approve a 5% increase for on-campus housing. Happening right now, Albuquerque police are looking for a thief who they say stole from a small business, leaving thousands of dollars in damage behind. In new surveillance video, you can see what looks like a Hyundai Sonata rolled up to Four Wheels Auto Repair near Edith and Montano on Saturday night. The man grabbed a flat screen TV first, authorities say, put it in the back seat, and then headed back inside to take some car batteries. After roughly 2.5 minutes, he took off. Owner Nancy Durham says she has her own idea about who might be responsible here.
We're having an issue with a certain individual right now, and when the cops came out, I told them that he was my #1 suspect. Ironically enough, he was seen in the area early the next morning, just parked here. So I think he sent somebody in.
Durham says she saw the former employee in the parking lot the next morning and believes that he sent somebody in. She says police found good fingerprints from the thief on another TV. People living in Rio Rancho are also hoping to find whoever vandalized their houses in the middle of the night. From the video, you can see two girls target house after house. The man who took the video says a lot of homes in his neighborhood were hit. He says the car that they were in was a dark-colored Hyundai Elantra. 6:37 happening now. The Lincoln County Sheriff's Office is working to figure out exactly how somebody started the Moon Mountain fire. Right now, the Sheriff's Office says that the blaze was human-caused, but they have not determined if it was actually arson. The blaze grew to 175 acres on top of Moon Mountain in Ruidoso. It threatened several homes and Ruidoso High when it broke out last Monday. Around 200 crew members fought the fire. Fire officials say snowfall in the area did help to contain the flames eventually. This morning, police near Pittsburgh are looking for 4 men caught on camera pulling off a violent heist. Police say these 4 men attacked some jewelry dealers Saturday night, making off with more than $1 million in loot. In surveillance video, you can see one of those dealers walk into a restaurant. Police say he had left the jewelry with his partner in a van. As soon as he's out of view, you can see 4 people running in the direction of that van. That's where police say they punched the passenger and took several suitcases full of jewelry. Right now, police do think the men were followed from New York City. The salesmen are both okay.